Biden, all right? Biden. Is Biden too old, and is he losing his faculties? I don't want to spend any more than 10 minutes because I know that this was a thing over the weekend, and I kind of highlighted it yesterday. But this was basically what was going on and what people are basically paying attention to in order to evaluate whether or not he's going to be a viable option for president of the United States on a second term. We was already worried about a first term. Definitely worried about a second term.
But first, I've spoken many times about the very public and obvious cognitive decline of the US president. Like many others, I've lamented the precarious state of the leader of the free world. And let's be honest, the man we rely on here in Australia to keep us safe, because God knows we can't do that ourselves. I've laughed when he's gaffed, and I've scoffed when he's humiliated himself on the global stage. But this week, ladies and gentlemen, we've entered a new era. And there is not one thing funny about it. Not a single tiny little thing. For the first time, I didn't watch a man slur his words a little bit or forget his surroundings momentarily. I watched a man completely void.
Y'all think that Biden is wearing a diaper? Why y'all saying he boo-booing on himself? I ain't heard that in a long time. You got a boo-boo. Why do y'all think that Biden is using a restroom on himself? Y'all think that Biden is wearing a diaper? I don't think that Biden is wearing no diapers. Could the president be wearing diapers? Is that a thing? I don't think that that's true. No way that the president could be wearing diapers. Thank you, Well Traveled. Thank you for the Cash App. I'm going to be reading that shortly.
Of all awareness. A man not present at all in mind. A man who desperately needs help and care.
Instead of trying to stop our ban on ghost gun kits that contain these, that can commit crimes,
if I talk like that on the Millionaire Morning Show, y'all would be like, Anton, get checked out. Go to the doctors. Listen to this guy.
we're working like hell to stop it.
Listen, I know that we looking at Biden and he looks like he's in space right now. I can't stop looking at the left side of my screen and looking at that tall man with that sequin dress on.
Now, this is no longer the fault of Joe Biden in any way, shape or form, i.e. an unwillingness
I know he
to
wearing
walk away or
orthopedics,
to give up power. No, he is well beyond that now. And that was flattering, by the way, that vision we showed you. The blame for this tragedy lies squarely on the people around him.
Look at Billy Porter. Look at Billy Porter over there on the left-hand side. Jesus Christ. Ain't nobody talking about Billy Porter. The only thing that they're going to talk about is whether or not the president is in space.
Meant to love him, meant to love their country. What they are allowing, enabling and encouraging is a disgrace, and one from which he and his political reputation, legacy...
What is wrong with our president? Are you seeing what he's doing right now? Look.
...is a disgrace, and one from which he and his political reputation...
Is that his grandson? Who is this child? Who is this young boy that's standing there while Paw try to bend down in order to give him a kiss? What the heck is going on, bro? I thought Billy Porter was losing his house. Can anybody confirm or deny that Billy Porter is losing his house? What is he doing on the White House lawn dancing? Honestly, I thought that Billy Porter was losing his house. Yeah, this was just in the fall. Actor Billy Porter is putting his home on the market due to financial struggles. He was just broke. He still check to check. He was still check to check. These people is broke, but they sitting there on a White House lawn. They got bigger. Well, I don't know. Anyways, don't get me started.
Legacy, whatever you may think of it, will never recover. He should have been helped to walk away months, if not years ago. There is no shame in being unwell.
Is that when he pooped on himself,
Zero.
supposedly, right
it's
there?
Not that he's old. I know people far older who are sharp as tacks. It's not his age. He is unwell. He can't control it. It's sad. Many of us have seen our own loved ones go through similar things. It is just cruel to continue propping him up and putting him in places he does not belong. Jill, Dr. Jill Biden, where are you? How could you? You are meant to love him. He is not a man in control. He needs people who love him to step in now. Abuse might feel like too strong a word, but it's the first that comes to mind now whenever I see the president in public. And we all lose in this situation, all of us, the president included. This is not good for him. I'll leave you with this. There is no way in hell Joe Biden is running America. No way. Which raises a question, who is? And in a democratic society, that just ain't good enough.
All right, let me get another perspective, because I know that CNN likes to protect the president, or they like to protect democracy, or Democrats per se. So I just want to get a completely different perspective, because the Democrats are saying that, or the Biden administration is basically saying that Biden did not freeze at the Obama fundraiser event, and Obama is coming to the aid and defending his former colleague.
Barack Obama's camp firing back after widespread claims on the right that he needed to lead President Biden off stage after Biden appeared to freeze up at the end of a weekend fundraiser in LA. So Eric Schultz is a senior Obama advisor, and he has put out a statement saying, quote, "This did not happen." Now, this is in response to a tweet by the New York Post, which is pushing the claim of Biden freezing up. So here is the video that the Post linked to in its article that many have seized on.
That's when he froze right there. That's it right there. Presidential debate is in like 9-10 days, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure y'all tune into that. You know Anton is going to have some heavy commentary on that. But this is where he froze right there. You got Obama over there to his left on our right-hand side. And they was at a fundraiser event when Trump was over in Detroit. And so this is allegedly when he froze. Come on, Biden. See Obama grab his hand? You see Obama grabbed his hand when he was frozen? Let's rewind that back. This is the latest freezing event. No, this is not a good thing. When they pat you on the back, like, come on, baby. That's not a good thing. Let me ask y'all another question. Would y'all rather have Barack Obama as president of the United States today or Joe Biden? I mean, both of them. That's a heck of a deal. Picking one or the other is a heck of a deal. But just wondering, would y'all rather have Barack Obama or Joe Biden?
All right, now there are still questions about what exactly happened there, but that clip comes just days after the far right used selectively edited video to claim that Biden was wandering off like some dementia patient from other world leaders during the G7. So I want to show you the video that they used to push that narrative. And it looks like, right, he's now, you see, okay, like staring off, it looks bad, right? Well, when you extend it a little bit longer and it's unedited, you see a different story. You see that Biden briefly turned away and walked over, not to the middle of nowhere, but to give a thumbs up to several parachutists, which you actually see them there, along with a parachute rigger who is kneeling on the ground. So he wasn't just wandering off, right? He was interacting with somebody. So let's go straight to Arlette Saenz at the White House. Arlette, I want to note you were there at that fundraiser where we just showed the video of former President Obama and President Biden together on stage. So, and I know it was a packed room. It was all kinds of celebrities, raised nearly $30 million. What can you tell us about, what happened and what the White House is saying happened that night?
Well, Aaron, this moment came at the end of the fundraiser as the conversation between President Biden, President Obama, Jimmy Kimmel was ending.
One reason why I say that I would take Obama over Biden, well, number one, because he still has his faculties. And I'm not a huge Obama fan, but I think that he did do some things right if I'm looking at this objectively. The one thing that I will say about Obama is that he was tough on illegal immigration into this country, which is one of the biggest issues aside from inflation of what's happening. Of course, we know that he pushed certain agendas, and it's a lot of controversy, especially around his advocacy of alphabet community and things like that. but Obama specifically was largely considered the deporter in chief. And he got more people out of here than any president in our lifetime. And he was heavy on making sure, oh, yes, he did do some stuff right. Yes, he did. Listen, objectively. And I'm not an Obama fan like that at all. But he got the borders right. He got the borders right. And he got illegal immigration right. And he was largely criticized. And they labeled him the deporter in chief. And I think he got some stuff wrong. I think that, there was a sign of the times. The economy was absolutely faltering. But on one of the main issues of letting in an ungodly amount of people into this country, he did get the borders right. I got to give him credit. And if we're not going to be objective, we got to be objective across the board. He got the borders right. We got to give the same energy across the board. We can't just say that somebody did 100% of everything wrong. No, he did not do 100% of everything wrong. He got them borders right, and he deported more people than Trump, more illegal immigrants, and he made sure that he closed off those borders. So come on, man. We got to be objective.
Three men stood up. The music came up in the room, and they went around the stage waving, giving thumbs up. And President Biden looked out at the crowd for a few seconds before walking off the stage with former President Barack Obama. Now, there have been Republicans and right-leaning media outlets who have used this moment to say that President Biden froze and that he had to be led off the stage by President Obama. That is something that the White House and also Obama allies have been pushing very hard back against since this video was released. As you mentioned, one of President...
Let me give Obama a little bit of credit before we move over into the next subject, because now we're about to start getting over into the money, car payments, and stuff like this. Because we're largely, I think that the thing that we do a lot of times is we divide ourselves based off of our political affiliations or whatever it is that we like inside of the White House, right? Or who we want to get elected in the White House. And what makes it difficult to have conversations with people is when people are so emotionally charged one way or another, it then becomes radical because they're not able to objectively look at the pros and the cons and say, well, I didn't like this person and I don't like what it is that they did with regard to this, and they absolutely did wrong on this, but it did make sense on this end. I will tell you that for all of the smoke that Obama gets, and I hate that I'm even saying this. I hate that y'all putting me in this position in the first place. For all of the smoke that Obama gets, the worst president in my lifetime was a Republican. And I'm a conservative. The worst president in my lifetime personally was a Republican. And it was the second George Bush. I believe that the second George Bush is the worst president of all time in my lifetime. And Obama inherited a White House that came, and I mean, when I talk about disaster, I'm talking about disaster. Obama, for all of the things that I don't agree with what it is that he did, he inherited a sideshow. I mean, a 100% the worst. I was in the worst position that I ever was in my entire life under the Bush administration. I mean, the whole country was under duress. It was messed up out in these streets. And so I take personal ownership and responsibility for the decisions that I made. But I also say that the environment started to become more conducive. And that's when I started to really set the foundation for what I am today as far as how successful that I've become. So I'm not going to say that it was all bad as far as considering what the circumstances are. And I'm looking at it objectively. I've lived long enough as a 42-year-old man to be able to look back and look at everything objectively. And I don't like some of the stuff in hindsight that Obama did. Absolutely not. And I've talked about it on this platform. But if we're going to keep that same smoke, then keep the same smoke all across the board. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Somebody said Anton ain't that old. Let me tell you something, bro. In 2008, my daughter was born. I was 26 years old. The first time that I was able to vote was for the Bush administration. I was in college. I remember I was 18 years old, and that was when the first Bush really started hitting. That was when the first Bush really started hitting. And I remember, and I walked down into the student union, and I seen the results, and I was like, I don't really feel good about this. And then when I was 22, it was just bad. It was bad. It was all bad. That 8 years, that junk was going south. It was very, very bad. So a lot of people don't know I lived as a voter through all of those eras, through the first term of the Bush, the second term of them when they finessed that and they tried to make it seem like, I ain't even gonna get into that, because that 9/11 thing, they still want to throw that under the rug like we ain't supposed to talk about that, even though that was a whole long time ago. And then then we got Obama. It's a weird thing to be able to look back at all of this stuff and objectively say this was good or this was bad. It is interesting, but I hate when people are not objective because they so far to the left or they so far to the right that they can't give credit. It's the same conversation when I have conversations with liberals and I say, hey, what is it that you didn't like about the Trump presidency? And they can't name anything, but they say that they just don't like Trump, and so that's why they continue to vote for Biden. It's the same thing. We're not being able to look at things objectively and say, this is where we should go and this is where we shouldn't go. So that's just my opinion. I know we all entitled to our opinions, but that's mine, and that's where I stand on the situation. So Obama wasn't 100% bad in my opinion.